I would tell myself to just to go easier on myself. I was really tough on myself, and I don't think I made the process very fun. I think it was a really tough few years. I thought if I was really mean to myself, I would skate better. If I was really, really hard on myself, I would get better. And instead of that making me better, it just made me dislike the process because I always felt bad about myself. And I think now I would, if I had to tell myself something, I would be like, you're good. Just chill out. You're doing the best you can. And I was doing well, I was doing the best I could with what I had. And I was looking at what I accomplished. I was doing a good job. So I would just try to take it easy a little bit more, which is also what I try to tell my kids when I know they're getting really tough on themselves and when they're getting emotional. It's take a step back. You're doing a great job. You don't have to be perfect. You're doing so good.
So welcome to today's episode of Adversity Diaries. I'm your host, Carlos Jimenez, and we have an extraordinary guest joining us today, Tarah Kayne, a shining star in the world of figure skating. As a retired competitive pair skater, Tarah's journey is filled with breathtaking highs and challenging lows. From national championships to major injuries, her resilience and passion for the sport are nothing short of inspiring. Tune in as we dive deep into her remarkable story, exploring her triumphs, the hurdles she overcame, and the unwavering spirit that has defined her incredible career. Tarah Kayne, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really happy to have you here. It's been a while since the last time I worked with you or was around you, I guess. But thank you. Thank you for being here.
And thank you for having me. I'm excited to get to talk to you again.
Yeah, perfect. So what are you up to today? What's your plan for the rest of the day?
Basically, right after we finish our chat, I have to grab my skates and head to the rink. Not to skate myself, but I'm actually coaching now or doing a lot of choreography nowadays. So I'm heading to the rink and working with a bunch of skaters. So.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah. All right. So, Sarah, we're going to try this new segment in the show.
Okay.
Basically, is a would you rather questions. So we have a few questions here, and you'll let me know when you're ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So question number 1. Would you rather perform a flawless routine at a local ice rink with all your family and friends watching, or a perfect routine at a world championship with no one you know in the audience?
Perfect routine at a world championship with no one I know in the audience.
Wow. Does that say a lot about your personality there or what?
No, it's just that I love my friends and family so much, but at the end of the day, they could watch the recording of me skating perfectly at a world championship because they have they can't help the outcome of my world championship.
That's cool. Next question. Would you rather have to wear the same costume for every performance for a year or change your skating partner every month?
Carlos, we always wear the same costume for a year.
Oh, do you? Well, there we go. If yes. I didn't know that, then probably most of the listeners wouldn't know that. So I guess I know the answer.
We actually, most of the time, unless there's something wrong with your costume or you change your program, you have one, because costumes are really expensive. Oh. So you get your program and you get your costume at the beginning of the season and you wear it until the end of the season or the end of the year. And you actually can't change your partner throughout the season. You sign up with one partner and you have to keep them until the end, or you just don't compete anymore if you change your partner.
Well, there we go. We got fact check really fast here.
Fact check.
Would you rather choreograph a routine to classical music or to modern pop song?
Classical music.
Classical music.
100%. I mean, I do love modern pop songs, like on the day-to-day listening to them in the car or something like that. But at the end of the day, skating's probably going to be easier to classical music. Like the movements match a little bit better. And I growing up as a skater, I like classical music. So it's just kind of like the go-to a lot of the time.
Okay. Next question. Would you rather win an Olympic silver medal or be inducted into the Figure Skating Hall of Fame?
Olympic silver medal. I don't care about the Hall of Fame. That would be so cool. But at the end of the day, like I can't hang the Hall of Fame around my neck and like put it up on the wall. So
Well, you can visit your hall and then,
I can visit my Olympic silver medal.
Gotcha. All right, next question. We have 4 more here. Would you rather have a year of injury-free skating, but no major wins, or a year filled with injuries, but multiple championships?
This is probably going to say a lot about why my career went the way it did. But a year filled with injuries and multiple championships.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Would you rather skate in a show on a tropical island or at an ice rink in a bustling city like New York? What? This is a good
Okay,
one,
so I tried to skate in shows. I thought this would be so cool, and I would see so many cool places. And I thought skating in a show on a tropical island would be so cool because I love traveling. But it turns out like tropical islands they're not really equipped for like the best skating facilities, or like to have all of the things we're used to having as figure skaters, like change rooms and things like that, and like bathrooms. So
Yeah. Can you imagine you walking the middle of the, sand and you go to like a small bathroom in the corner down there or something like
yeah,
that?
so I would have to say a bustling city like New York, even though I do really like travel.
Would you rather always land perfect jumps but struggle with spins, or always nail your spins but fall on jumps?
Nail my jumps and struggle with spins.
Huh. Is that because I don't know. Is it because a reason for that, or just?
So first, I guess the first reason is that I'm a pair skater. So
Okay.
we have less spins than single skaters.
Got it.
We have like 1 spin, and single skaters have 3. So it would be less detrimental for a pair skater to struggle with spins, especially as a pair skater. Sometimes we do pair spins, so your partner can kind of help you out a little bit with that. Especially as the female, your partner is bigger and you can kind of roll with their centrifugal force a little bit. But also, if you struggle with spins, a lot of the time you're not going to fall. You're just not going to get your level, or your spin's going to be a little slow or not so nice. If you struggle with jumps, you're falling. And it's going to be like, it's going to take more off of your score. It's going to hurt more, things like that.
Got it. All right, last 2 questions here. Would you rather have to give a motivational speech to a large audience before every competition, or do a live TV interview right after every performance?
I feel like a lot of the time we have to give interviews after our performances anyways. Like we go to this thing called the mixed zone. So you get off of the ice and you immediately go to this area before you can go back and get your skates off. You go to this area with a lot of journalists and you have to answer questions. So I think we have to do that anyways. So I would probably say that because I think we're prepared for that. But I also wouldn't really mind doing the motivational speech. It would just be kind of annoying because you're kind of focused on what you're doing.
I know. You're like getting ready for this championship.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
Hey, everyone. But I think I would be fine at that too because I'm pretty good at public speaking, but I would say the interview.
Cool. All right, last question. Would you rather skate in an exhibition with your favorite celebrity or have a one-on-one training session with your skating idol?
An exhibition with my favorite celebrity. Like, are they skating? Like, do I have to skate with them?
Yeah.
Wait, what if they can't skate?
Then you're the coach, isn't it?
I'm like walking around the rink. Yeah, I would do that because one-on-one with my favorite skating idol.
Nice.
I would say like do an exhibition with my favorite celebrity because that would be different. That would take everyone out of their comfort zone.
That's for sure. Have you done that before? I don't know, like, have you had to teach someone that you look up to, or someone you like never thought you were gonna be teaching them how to skate
No,
for the first time?
no.
No.
Most of the time that I'm teaching someone how to skate, it's like a child or like an adult skater who just wants to learn. But it's never been like a movie star or anything like that. So I would say that would be kind of a different experience.
Well, moving forward, let's bring us back to your upbringings, right? Fort Myers, Florida, 1998.
Yeah.
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 So, how do you get into the world of skating? And yeah, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. I honestly don't really remember all that much. So it's going to go straight from like what my mom told me
Yeah.
is she used to watch skating on TV because she liked it. And I saw it and immediately was like, I want to do that.
Hmm.
Of course, have no recollection of this, but apparently I saw it and was just like taken with it right away and really, really wanted to do it. And at the time, I was doing like ballet and gymnastics and things like that. And I
Cool.
really wanted to take ice skating. And there was no ice skating rinks around me. So,
In
um,
Florida, yeah.
in Florida. So she took me to one a few hours away and I loved it right away. So as soon as a skating rink opened around us, she enrolled me into lessons.
Sounds like your mom has been a big inspiration for you since you're starting your career. Is that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Both of my parents were super supportive, especially like I really wanted to ice skate. And I think they thought they were going to take me. I wasn't going to like it. It was going to be cold. I would fall and I wouldn't want to do it.
Hmm.
But when I really liked it, they did everything they could to allow me to follow that passion. Even when it was like financially difficult for them and things like that, my whole family kind of banded together, my grandparents and things like that to help me stay on the ice. So definitely my mom, my dad were really helpful.
Can you talk to us about that? The financial, yeah, needs of the sport, and for you specifically. Then, how did you do it?
Yeah, skating is a super expensive sport. Like a lot of people don't realize, but there's a lot of costs associated with it that aren't associated in things like team sports. So you have to pay for your ice time. Ice time is expensive. Right now, it can be like $20, $25 just for an hour of skating.
Wow.
And that's not covering coaching. So you have your ice time fees, then you have your coaching fees. Coaches for a high level coach can be over $100 for an hour lesson. And then you have your skates. You have skates and then you have blades. That's over $1,000. Then you have things like sharpenings and things like that. And then, of course, I said, dresses are quite expensive. So when you reach the higher levels, your dresses can be around $2,000. And of course, those fees aren't as high when you're young, but they do start adding up quite aggressively at a young age. So I think people sign up for the sport and they don't really know what they're signing up for when their daughter or son really likes it. And then suddenly, the sport is more than, their rent or something like that. So my family, we weren't super high income. My mom is, she doesn't work. She's handicapped. So she can't work. So my dad at the time worked for Comcast installing cable. So we were a single income, like low income family. So for my dad to keep me on the ice, I also had have a brother. So it was tough. So it was kind of a group thing. My grandparents helped. We had like a local family friend that helped a little bit just to pay for my ice time. My coaches always helped a lot because without them, I wouldn't have been able to skate. And then my dad got diagnosed with cancer when I was 16, 17. And at that point in time, I would not have been able to skate anymore because we couldn't afford it because he lost his job. And then my coach at the time really stepped up and he was like, no, you're staying on the ice no matter what. So he really helped me at that time and, took the reins and made sure that I would be able to keep skating.
Wow. I did a little research about you, but I didn't find anything about this, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. I guess you don't share this pretty often.
No, I probably didn't, especially during like my intense competitive scene. I probably wasn't talking about it very much.
Why?
When I think it was around the time I was first hitting the international scene and hitting Team USA,
Hmm.
my dad passed away 2 days after my first international medal. So my first nationals and 2 days after my international medal, my dad passed. So I think it was pretty fresh at that time, and I wasn't really open to talking about it. But looking back, I can see how amazing it was that my parents did keep me on the ice through all of that.
Yeah. And how did it make you feel when, obviously, were you already at the elite level when your dad passed away, or you were kind of breaking into?
Yeah, so I made Team USA and won my first international medal with Danny, and then 2 days after my dad passed. So I was training pretty aggressively at the senior pairs level the year my dad was kind of really struggling. And yeah, I think with a different support staff, with a different coach, a different partner, I don't think I would have made it through that in skating because I was not making those bills. It was not going to happen. So I think my coach, Jim Peterson, and of course, Danny, my partner at the time, were really helpful through that and kind of like gave me grace.
Can I ask one more question about this?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
How did you manage to cope with, because I feel like I've been working in sports for a long time and
Mhm.
know a lot of sports athletes like you. How do you kind of separate things, right? Because you're telling me, I was very successful on the ice, winning my first international medal, Team USA. You're, the new best pair coming up in the pipe with Danny. And then on the other side, you had this going on. How do you do it?
I didn't. That's going to sound bad, but I didn't know how to cope with it and remain focused on skating. So I only remained focused on skating. I didn't even let myself think about anything else. I compartmentalized so aggressively that that other part of my life I just pushed down until it eventually got to the point, of course, that you couldn't push it down anymore. And those feelings did start to bubble up no matter what. But for a very long time, I didn't think about it and I just completely blocked it out. And I just became like so myopic about skating and I only focused about skating. So
Looking back, how do you feel about that strategy?
I'm glad I had it. It was a good thing, maybe at the time. I think there was definitely a healthier way to handle it, but I don't think I had access to those methods. I think if I could go back now, of course, I'm older, so I can handle it. I could approach it in a different way. But at the time, I was 18, so that was the best. I handled it the best I could with what I had at the time. So looking back, of course, there was a better way to handle it, but I just didn't know how. So I don't think how I handled it was the worst way either. I did a lot of skating. I really focused on like my off ice workouts and things like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, moving forward, let's talk about, obviously, you went from single, the very small period of your life, but now you move into the pairs with Danny, right? Two questions. So one is how did that partnership come about, and then how did it feel to win your first medal almost a year later?
So our partnership came about pretty naturally, I would say, considering how pair partnerships tend to be formed, which is a lot of like tryouts. You tend to travel throughout the US, even the world, looking for the proper partner for you.
Wow. Is it like dating?
Yeah, very much so. There's even like a website called Ice Partner Search, which tends to work a little bit like Match.com.
Do you
But
like left, right of a thing or not? That's
no, so it's not a
okay.
swiping thing, but it's a little bit like you put up a dating, not a dating profile, sorry. You put up a profile with like your pictures and your videos, even like your eye color, your hair color, height, like which way you rotate, things like that.
Wow.
And you can like search through, and find somebody that looks like they might work for you, email them, set up a tryout, and it's very similar to like a first date type situation.
Hmm.
Which is very natural in our world, but I can see how to other people it can be really strange. But our tryout didn't work like that. I had been taking lessons with my coach, the coach who became my coach, Jim Peterson. He was about an hour and a half away from my family in Fort Myers, and my mom would drive me there 3 times a week. I had started taking some pair lessons, and I would take them with him, with Jim. He would skate with me because I wanted to learn pairs because I thought I kind of knew I wasn't going to make it as a single skater.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't talented enough, to be honest, to be a single skater. And I was a little too old to have made it in singles. So I could see the writing on the wall like way years before. But I was about to graduate high school around that age. So I knew after school that I might want to consider doing ice shows. And I thought I would get hired easier if I had pair skills, which meant that I knew how to be lifted and maybe could do a throw or something like that. So I wanted to take a few lessons. So he started working with me. And I guess I took to it very quickly. And I started working with Jim and a few other guys at the rink when Jim couldn't skate with me. And I learned throw triples very easily. Like I think the first throw triple sow I tried, I landed. So at that point in time, Jim was like, okay, wait, you need to take this seriously. This is not like you were doing this for fun, but maybe you need to look into competing. So I was like super excited by that thought. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I want to get a partner. And Danny happened to also be taking from Jim Peterson at the time. So he was already in that rink. So it seems like we should have been put together very quickly, but was not the case. Jim tried to put us together. Danny said no. So it was actually a year after that initial time when Danny and I tried out. Our tryout went really well, and we ended up skating together.
That's cool. So now then you guys went to that was 2012-ish. Mm-hmm. And then 2013, what happened? International
so that was
Challenge.
Our first season together. So we started skating together, and I had to learn basically all of my pair elements. So I kind of knew how to do throws already, but I had to learn all of my lifts, death spirals, twist, things like that, and learn how to train pairs. So wow. I had to become a senior pair skater kind of overnight. And then we made Team USA right after our first nationals. And then they sent us to the Netherlands for Challenge Cup. And we got second there, which was kind of more than I could have asked for. I was super excited, kind of overjoyed by the whole situation. I remember we skated 2 clean programs, and I was just like, wow, so excited. It was also my first time out of the country, so the whole thing was like amazing to me, and it kind of got me like kind of hooked.
I can imagine, no? You were like probably searching for that feeling again, no? For that emotion.
Yeah, I was just so excited to travel. I had never been out of the country, so I went, and I think the Netherlands was like such a good place to start because it's like close enough to home. It's not like going somewhere that like put me out of my comfort zone too much, and I really enjoyed the whole experience. And of course we won a medal and had a great experience. So then I was like, oh, I can't wait to go again. I want to go again. So I really took the next season by the horns that I really wanted to start training again, get my new programs, and I wanted to kind of attack everything right away.
I want to show you this picture. I was digging into your IG. So that was that year, 2013, I guess, January, right? It says here.
Yeah, that was our first nationals.
What was this about? This is Omaha.
Yeah. So at that nationals, like they would do the schedule and like highlights from the day previously on like, it was almost like a little like fake newspaper situation. So when you went into the rink the next day to watch, to watch the next day's event, you could pick up these little newspapers.
Nice.
And it was just like the schedule, the bio of the skaters who were competing that day and things like that. And we were on the front cover from yesterday's skate. So that was from our short program. I actually hated that program. Hated it. So it's funny to like look back and see it, but
yeah, it was 11 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
Time goes by fast, no?
Yeah.
No way. So obviously your early career was very successful, and you had some setbacks.
Yes.
I was doing some research, and I listened to a couple podcasts just to see what else can I gather. And in one of them, I'm a sports medicine person, I'm a PT, and I was very curious about your thought process when you got injured. I don't know if it's the first time or second time, but you mentioned that you were working as a waitress as well as skating full time.
Yes.
Right? And you think that kind of added to your injury risks, probably? And you said these quotations, "I wish somebody has taught me."
So at the time, it was necessary. I needed to make money. I needed to pay for my ice time. I had a lot of these costs associated with skating. Plus, I had to pay for my rent and things like that. It was something I couldn't avoid. And looking back at it now, knowing what I know about recovery and taking care of your body, I didn't know those things then. My nutrition was awful. And I would go to the rink in the morning. I would do a very hard skating day. I would go to workout, and then I would leave right from workout. I would change in the rink bathroom into whatever I had to wear for work. I would drive to work, and then I would work a full shift as a waitress until close, and I wouldn't leave the restaurant until like 11:30. And then I was so tired that a lot of the time I wouldn't really eat dinner. So my dinner would end up being like, I worked at an Italian restaurant at the time, so it would be like the free bread that we served at the restaurant, and it was free at the restaurant. So I would eat the bread from the restaurant, or maybe have like, whatever I could get from like whatever like the chef gave me, which was like maybe half a pizza or something. They were like personal pizzas, So. And it was just because I was tired. And by that point in time, by the end of the day, I just needed to go to sleep because I had to wake up for skating again. So the nutrition was lacking. I wasn't fueling my body properly. I wasn't even considering things like, okay, after skating, I need protein so my muscles don't break down, so I don't get injured. Like those were not thought processes that entered my head. It was like, okay, I have to go to work. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do that. And it was like, go, 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 go. And there was no stopping. Wow. And looking back, because at the time I was like, I don't know why I keep getting injured. Like I don't know why. Like in my head, I was like, I work so hard and I'm trying to get stronger. I'm going to my workouts. But looking back, I'm like, okay, it's very clear now why I kept getting injured. Wow. I wasn't taking care of my body properly, and there was no rest or no recovery.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So 2014, now we're talking about a specific injury you had during that time. You underwent surgery for a labral tear in your right hip.
Yes.
Which led to significant withdrawals from competition, I guess, at the point. How do you cope with this and this setback, and both mentally and physically?
It felt like a big blow because we had just won a pretty substantial medal, our first 4 continents medal, which is like a championship medal. So that's a big deal. and we were kind of starting to like get some momentum, and then we had to withdraw from our first Grand Prix season because of my injury. So at the time, my like driving force was just to get back on the ice as soon as possible. So I remember talking to the surgeon, and he would set out my like return to play plan, and it was like, okay, it'll probably take this long, but like best case scenario, it could take like a week less. Mm-hmm. And I just kept pushing to be like less and less time. And I remember setting these goals for myself. Like I wanted to be off of crutches at, this many weeks. And I just kept trying to push myself to be faster and faster so I could get back on the ice so I would be ready for nationals. Mm. So I kind of set, looking back, maybe unrealistic goals, but forced myself to make them realistic.
Yeah. So meaning, let's say if they say, okay, you're going to be on the, I don't know, you're going to be running at, I'm just going to make up a number here.
Yeah.
At 3 months. Mm-hmm. Then you said, no, I think we can do it 9 weeks, 10 weeks. Or do you like kind of like that battle? Like,
I was thinking, okay, well, everybody else probably took 3 months, mm-hmm. but like I am going to be really strong and I can push, and I just like won't even care if it hurts, right? Like I had this thought process that it's okay if it hurts because, they already did the surgery, so it's already fixed. So they did like structurally it's sound. So if it hurts and I'm in pain, it doesn't matter. And I can handle pain. I just need to push through it because I'm on the ice for an hour for practice. I can be in pain for an hour. Or, my program's only 4 minutes. I can be in pain for 4 minutes. That's fine, because then I can take a break after and I'll be okay. So I kept trying to say like, okay, 3 months, but like maybe I can do 2.5, or, like, let's see if like 2 is a possibility.
Wow. So you got back to nationals at the point?
I did. Yeah. So we competed one time prior to nationals. We went to Croatia, and it was a hot mess. It was awful. We went there and I was in a lot of pain, and it was not good. It was so not good. But that was like maybe 3 weeks before nationals, and I think it gave me some experience that I needed to push through to nationals. And then by the time we went to nationals, I think we skated 2 almost clean programs, and we ended up getting our first national medal.
Wow. And if hopefully a young skater is listening to you, what would be the best advice knowing what you know now?
Knowing what I know now.
From this injury.
Yeah. So I took what I did there and I said, I was right. I pushed through and I got a medal, my first national medal. And it was because I was so tough and because I ignored my pain and didn't listen to what everyone told me. And like, look what I got out of it. I got this medal. Knowing what I know now, I probably would have taken that season off completely. I don't think I would have pushed for nationals because I don't think I ever fully recovered from that injury until like way, way later. So I think I still had weaknesses and was compensating in other ways. And I think it ended up leading to my second injury because I wasn't smart about my first one.
So yeah, now this actually was my next part of the question. So you had then, that was 2014, mm-hmm. right? And then 2017, you were dealing with the right knee issue.
Yeah. So my injury in 2017 actually happened in 2016. So it happened way earlier. But again, I was like, I think I went to a doctor who was like, oh, it's not that bad. So all I had to hear was like, oh, it's not that bad. And I can keep skating through it. Doesn't matter if it hurts. So I skated through it for way too long and it hurt so bad by the end. I think it started off with like a small tear of my patella tendon. And by the end, it was over 75% torn.
Wow.
So it was like debilitating by the end. And I sometimes I think back and like, would that have even happened if I had properly rehabbed my first injury? Or would I have been strong enough to not get injured again? I don't know. So it's kind of tough at this point in time to look back and say like would have, should have, could have. But I do think I would have taken some more time and not push so fast.
Before we move forward, can you talk to me about how was the rehab process for the knee? Because you had a surgery, right? Eventually.
Yeah. I had a patella tendon reconstruction.
Okay.
So what I have now is my patella tendon is a cadaver hamstring. Oh. So they had to drill a hole through my kneecap and my patella and my tibia, and they looped through a cadaver hamstring. So it required, I think, like a month or more of not moving I had to keep my legs straight for a really long time so that the graft would take. Mm-hmm. The recovery from the knee surgery was awful. It was really? So like my hip surgery was not bad. Honestly, it was a pretty, like other than being in on crutches and things like that, it was pretty smooth. It was not a difficult or painful recovery at all. Other than the fact that I had to sleep in a, I don't remember what it's called. You know, like the little machine that you put your leg in and like moves.
Yes. Yes.
Passive movement.
Yes. Like a passive range of motion machine.
Passive range of motion. Yeah. That was kind of annoying. But other than that, honestly, it's a pretty smooth recovery. And I didn't think it was too difficult, but the knee was a completely different animal. It was incredibly painful. And I had the surgery and they had this little backpack. I woke up from the surgery and I had this little backpack on, and it was attached to my stomach and it was like a pain pump. So, so if it would go every hour or so, and if I was in extra pain, I could press a button and it would put pain medication through my stomach. Which is strange enough as it is, but sometimes I would forget I had the little backpack on and I would try to go to the bathroom or something and it was attached to my stomach and it would pull out a little bit. It was awful. And then I got horrifically ill and I couldn't eat solid foods for a while and it was just horrible. Really tough recovery. It was so painful. I couldn't move my knee. I couldn't bend my knee at all. So the first while of my recovery was just trying to bend my knee.
Wow.
Really rough.
Did you have any doubts to come back at the point? You're like, this is not a hip surgery where I can just push through this, or you still had the mindset?
No, I still had the mindset because my surgeon at the time had also done a friend of mine, not the same knee, not the same injury, but she had other knee injuries. Mm-hmm. I think she had an ACL, MCL situation. And he did her knee when she completely blew it out and she was back on the ice.
Wow. Okay.
So I kind of had that thought. And I know he had done so many other athletes. Dr. LaPrade, he does a lot of athletes. And I thought, okay, if they could all do it, I can do it too. So I still had this hyper intense mindset at the time. And it was just about a year before 2018 Olympics. So I had that driving me where I thought if I really push, maybe there's a chance that I can make the team.
So did you go to Vail? Is that, or no?
Yes. Yeah. I had my surgery in Vail with Dr. LaPrade.
Nice. Wow. So then obviously your rehab to that was painful, as you said. How long did it take you, more or less, to be okay, but then to be, I'm back? You know what I mean? It's two difference of okay, I can skate now, I can do some stuff, but then you're when I'm back, 100%?
I didn't feel 100% for a very long time. I skated with a brace on for nationals that season.
Wow.
And I genuinely don't know how much help the brace actually gave me, but it made me feel better.
Yeah.
So I skated with the brace on, and I still felt very unsteady on my right knee, which is, of course, my landing side. So it's not exactly the side you want to feel unsteady on. So we went to nationals that season. We got second, which is amazing looking back at what I went through. Unfortunately, the US had only qualified one spot for the Winter Olympics for the first time ever. So we did not go to the Pyeongchang Olympics. We were taken as first alternates. So Danny and I went to the Olympics and sat in the stands.
Okay.
The dream always,
Of course. Did
I think I
you?
need to be a little bit more specific when I made wishes.
I know. Did you say skating main events? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about your support system, especially during setbacks and injuries, and who was around you, who was supporting you at the time, and how important are those people around you?
My partner, Danny O'Shea, was super supportive. I think in many pair partnerships, you see the partnerships dissolve when somebody is injured. And that never happened to me, which I'm super grateful about. He was always supportive and helpful through my injuries. And my mom was always there helping me. I actually stayed with her when I was going through my knee surgery because my apartment, I had to walk upstairs. So I couldn't stay in my own apartment. So I had to stay with my mom because she had like a single level home. So my mom was always there for me. And I had other like skating friends at the time who were on Team USA who I remember calling every single day and talking to them. And my coach at the time, Jim Peterson, was, always very motivational, like trying to just tell me to like hold on, keep going, like we can do this. And there was some Team USA staff that I remember going to my appointments with me. So when I would go to Vail, they would go with me. So I wasn't going to have to go alone and things like that. So that was always helpful. And then, of course, the staff at the OTC was phenomenal. All of my physical therapists. And, of course, that's how I know you. So you were there,
Yeah.
I think, through the whole process. So like you, Amber, pretty much all of the OTC staff was great.
Can you tell people, that are, growing up and coming into any sports or your sport specifically, you've seen relying on those pillars, who do you have? What kind of access do you have at the Olympic Training Center, for example?
Yeah, so the Olympic Training Center, you see it as this thing, everyone takes pictures in front of the Team USA sign, but you don't really understand what it is or why people go there other than to like take pictures, right? But you have access to so many invaluable people, or I would say so many valuable like resources, and they're all in one place, which is so wonderful. So sports med was kind of like my bread and butter when I was there. And that's like your doctors and your physical therapists. So that's who helped me through all of my major injuries, both my hip and my knee. I recovered at the OTC. And we also had a massage therapist there. So that's, I would say, like the number one core of my team was my sports med. They also worked with my personal trainer from the gym, which is really great because it's like the gym and sports med is inside of the gym. So your trainer can go and talk right to your sports med staff, and they can come up with a plan to help you get through your injury. So they talk to each other every day and kind of let each other know where you're at. So my personal trainer would talk to my physical therapist, update each other constantly. I also had a nutritionist there that was right upstairs from this whole thing. So I would go there and kind of hit all three within the same, few hours. So my nutritionist would talk to them about like what my body needed, and then she would help make a plan for my meals. So I would follow her meal plan, which was always about getting more protein constantly. I was trying to eat so much protein. It was insane.
Wow.
And then there's the cafeteria there, which the athletes have access to. So they don't have to like think about making their own food or anything. It's wonderful. And that was super helpful, as well as sports psych was there. And I used sports psych to really help me try to get over the mental barriers that I was hitting when it was coming to like, am I going to be okay? Am I going to get injured again? Can I do this? So it was kind of this like team of people that were always like helping me get through this adversity that I was facing.
Amazing. Yeah. So I think it's, like you say, such a valuable resources that you have there. And just a side question that came up to my mind. Is that possible in places like where you work now? Do you think not at that level, but somewhat?
Yeah. So I actually work in Canada.
Yeah.
So I, as a Team USA athlete, I'm not entirely sure what they have here. Mm-hmm. Skate Canada is a completely other type of thing. I know that our athletes go to Skate Canada and things for testing like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they have a similar training center. Mm-hmm. I would have to ask about that, but I'm not entirely sure.
How about at the place where you work? Do you tell, now that you have all this knowledge?
Yeah.
Do you tell your students that, hey, you need to try to eat proper, mm-hmm. Do you actually now do it? Like you tell them or?
Yeah. So I'm actually so watchful about injuries, right? When somebody is saying like, oh, this hurts, or I think I did this, or that fall was kind of bad. I'm like, okay, where are we on a scale of like 1 to 10? Mm-hmm. How's your pain? We need to manage this. Like, let's, take the session off. I'm so watchful about injuries, and I keep trying to kind of push into them that we don't have to be heroes. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to take care of our bodies first. And we were just planning our summer activities for the kids, not activities, but like summer courses through camps. And one thing that I keep bringing up is like nutrition. I think we should bring a nutritionist in, because I think it's so important for them to understand how to fuel their bodies. And especially in a sport like figure skating, where there's such an emphasis on being thin, mm-hmm. I think it gets lost in translation a lot of the times that being thin isn't just about not eating. It's about fueling your body properly. And a lot of that is fueling your body, but with protein and with carbs so that you have energy, mm-hmm. so that you can skate to your body's full potential. So what I learned at the OTC, I'm trying to bring to my skaters now, even though they might not have access to sports med and a sports psych and things like that. I'm trying to make sure that they do have those things provided to them.
That's good. I'm sure they're going to appreciate that, because, and they respect you because of everything you've done for the sport. Now, moving forward, so you mm-hmm. went over that knee injury, and 2018, you competed at the Four Continents Championship.
Yes.
And you came back. And
yeah, I would say I felt pretty good at that competition. I felt pretty like we did nationals. It felt okay. A few weeks later, we went to Four Continents. I felt better. Mm-hmm. It felt good. So we won Four Continents that season.
Nice. And then the next question is the Grand Prix medal as well, right? Your first Grand Prix medal in France.
Yeah. So in France, we won silver, which was really good. That was really good, I'd say.
How did you do it? You came back from a very long, painful injury. Mm-hmm. You just told me and told the listeners that you really struggled during that. But how do you actually came back after and just win, competitions just like that?
I don't think it was just like that. I wish it was.
Well, this is what people read, right? They don't read.
Yeah, so easy. Yeah, no, it was definitely a struggle all the way through. We moved from Florida to Colorado because of the Olympic training center. Like I needed to stay there and continue to have access to those resources because I couldn't replicate them at home in Florida. I was trying and it cost so much money.
I know.
Like it was getting just almost impossible for me to do it elsewhere. So we moved from Florida to Colorado so I could stay at the OTC. And I think that helped me continue on and like be able to win that medal.
Amazing. So I know you are an advocate for mental health and well-being. And, how did you balance life and skating throughout your career?
Like I mentioned, I don't think I did it very well.
Okay.
To be honest, I think if I could go back and do things over again, I would do them a little differently, and I would definitely try to strike a little healthier of a balance. I think
so?
I just think I would have tried to have more interest outside of skating. I was very focused on skating and almost a little obsessive at times. And I don't think it was always the healthiest place to be. And even since I've developed some hobbies that, like I crochet, and I think that would have been nice at the time. Like I think just like finding like small things that I can do to take my mind away from like, okay, practice was bad today.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just sitting there and like sulking in that and feeling bad about myself and, my abilities for the rest of the day, I think it would have been good for me to take my mind off of it in a healthier way, like crocheting or like now I really like being around nature. So I take a lot of walks outside. I won't call them hikes because I know you talk to Eddie Pinev and like Eddie hikes. I do not hike.
Yes.
with my like knee injuries, I still do not like hike, but I would say I take leisurely walks.
Yeah.
Um,
They still count.
Yeah, I would say I take like an old person's version of a hike, right? Like I take a leisurely walk and like look at the birds. So
you gotta be that bird lady with the binoculars.
I do gentle birding.
There
Okay.
we go. There we go.
So I think I wish I had things like that when I was skating. I love cooking, so I cook a lot. And I didn't really do that as much. I just had started to get into that kind of when I was skating, but when I lived at the OTC, it's not really possible because you don't have your own kitchen. So yeah, I do wish when I was skating, I had a better balance of my personal and skating life.
Thank you so much for sharing that. One question I always ask every guest is, how do you want people to remember you in the sports of skating?
I don't necessarily know if my skating left a huge impact. And that's okay with me because it's not like I went and broke a bunch of records or won a ton of medals. But I think what I could take away from that and leave a more of a lasting, not like a legacy, but what I can do now with what I have is take what I've learned from my own career and take those lessons and share them with my skaters, because I plan to stay in the sport in my current fashion, which is as a choreographer and a coach for a long time. So I think I can take what I learned as a skater and make sure that my skaters don't make the same mistakes I did. So when I look back and think like, how do I want people to remember me? I want people to remember me as being someone who helps the future generation. And hopefully I help my generation as well. Like I hope people maybe learn something from the things that I went through, but definitely my current skaters. I hope that I am able to kind of help them navigate the sport. It's not the easiest life to live. So I hope that they can see what I went through and hear the things that I say and make better decisions.
And the last question is, what would you tell your young self, knowing what you know now? If you can give me a couple of things.
I would tell myself to just to go easier on myself. I was really tough on myself, and I don't think I made the process very fun. I think it was a really tough few years. I think I thought if I was really mean to myself, I would skate better. If I was really, really hard on myself, I would get better. And instead of that making me better, it just made me dislike the process because I always felt bad about myself. And I think now I would, if I had to tell myself something, I would be like, you're good. Just chill out. You're doing the best you can. And I was doing well, I was doing the best I could with what I had. And I was looking at what I accomplished. I was doing a good job. So I would just try to take it easy a little bit more, which is also what I try to tell my kids when I know they're getting really tough on themselves and when they're getting emotional. It's take a step back. You're doing a great job. You don't have to be perfect. You're doing so good. Just chill.
You wish someone would have told you that when you were skating?
Yeah. It's not life or death. First of all, it's figure skating.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. There's life after figure skating. So what you accomplish on a random Wednesday isn't going to make or break it for you. You just need to be a little easier on yourself. Not always, of course, there's times to push, but I think there's you as a person and you as a skater. And you as a skater doesn't define you as a person. So that's what I try to tell my skaters. And that's what I wish I had known a little bit more when I was skating myself.
Wow. Sarah, thank you so much for this insightful talk. It's been really amazing to get to know you more. Even though I worked with you for a while, I obviously was a work relationship, never got to meet you at this level, but I was really touched to the things to share with me. And I'm sure the listeners will learn a lot from your path and how they can cope with many setbacks they have in life. I'm sure all your kids and your students are working with you are going to be so excited to work with you. I would. I mean, you have one of the best pair skaters in the US and Team USA. You did it all at what you could do, right? As you said it. What's next for you? What are you up to now? You mentioned your coaching. What are you looking forward to in life?
I'm really loving what I'm doing right now. I work in Toronto with the Toronto Lakeshore Skating School. If anyone's looking to take up skating, come on over. But I love working with those skaters. They're all very highly motivated. It's a very high level school. I'm really enjoying working with the next generation of skaters. And especially with choreography, I'm doing a lot of their choreography, and I'm really kind of finding my flow in that area of the skating world. So, and it took a little while after my career to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, if I wanted to be in the sport. But right now I'm really enjoying it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much again for your time, and we really appreciate it. And until the next time.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.